Notes can be placed with either mouse or keyboard. The keys Q through C on a QWERTY keyboard can be used to place notes at the corresponding location. For doubles, R through N will place notes on the second side. If you hold a note placement key while moving the prompt, it'll turn the note into a hold. Moving past existing notes will erase them. Moving into an existing hold will merge them. None of the changes shown while placing a note will apply until you release the note placement key. Once a hold is placed, you can click and drag the tail to change the length of the hold. Holding Shift while pressing a note placement key will create a mine instead of a note. Pressing a note placement key where there's an existing note holder mine will erase the current note instead of placing a new one. Under the Tools menu, there's an option for Auto Advance, which can also be toggled with the hotkey combination Control-Shift-A. With Auto Advance on, each time you place a note, it will jump to the next quantized position. If multiple note placement keys are pressed simultaneously, the notes will be placed at the same location. With Auto Advance on, holds can be placed as normal, but it is often less convenient because the hold is not placed until you move the prompt manually. Mines can be placed with Auto Advance as normal by holding Shift while pressing a note placement key. Notes can be deleted by pressing backspace or delete. If an area is selected, all notes in that area will be deleted. If no area is selected, notes at the prompt location will be deleted. Pressing Tab will toggle mouse note placement. In mouse mode, left-clicking will place a note, clicking and dragging will place a hold, and holding Shift while you click will place a mine. Right-click will erase a note, and holding right-click and dragging will erase any notes that fall under the cursor. When in mouse mode, most keyboard keys will exit the mode and return to normal keyboard placement. Hotkeys that change quantization or other display properties can be used while in mouse mode, as can hotkeys for undo and redo. The hotkeys Control-C, Control-X, and Control-V can be used to copy, cut, and paste notes respectively. Control-Shift-V can be used to do a floating paste, placing the notes where you next click. While the notes are floating, you can use Shift plus left, right, up, or down to move the notes relative to the cursor. Copy and paste can be done between different tabs. When pasting between charts with different panel configurations, a regular paste will preserve the original columns and a floating paste will preserve the original column spacing. When pasting into a tab that does not display all of the columns copied to the clipboard, you'll be prompted asking if you want to expand the display to include those columns or to only paste the columns that are displayed. You can click on a selected region and drag it to move the selected notes to a new location. In the Tools menu, there's a Transform option which can be used to move notes between columns. Mirror swaps both lefts and rights and ups and downs. Horizontal mirror swaps only lefts and rights, and vertical mirror swaps only ups and downs. The Custom option can be used to apply transforms to all layers at once. It can also be used to swap individual pairs of columns. You can only select transform options if you have the same range selected for all columns, but that range does not need to be continuous. If the selected range includes partial holds, the transform will crop the notes to the selected range. This is to avoid placing notes on top of holds that are not inside the range or vice versa. Notes can be separated into different layers. This can be used to help with chart organization and can be used to control various visual effects within the chart. Layers can be created through the layer menu at the top or by right-clicking on the layer display in the lower right. The New Layer option will create a new layer on top of all other layers. Insert Layer will insert a layer directly below the selected layer. Duplicate Layer will make a copy of the selected layer directly below the selected layer. Delete Layer will remove the selected layer. Charts must always have at least one layer. You can click on a layer to select it, or use Control Page Up, Page Down to switch between layers. Whenever you add notes, they're added to the currently selected layer. Actions in the Layer menu will apply to the currently selected layer. When right-clicking on a layer in the Layer menu, the action will apply to that layer instead. Layers can be dragged in the layer display in the lower right to reorder them. The layer in the highest position is considered to be on top. By right-clicking on a layer, you can merge it with another layer. If you have a group of notes selected, you can cut or copy them to a new layer using the Layer menu by right-clicking on the note field or by using the hotkey combinations Control-Shift-X and Control-Shift-C. The new layer is inserted directly above the original layer. The Layer Properties window can be accessed through the Layer menu or by right-clicking on a layer. In this window, you can rename a layer, enable or disable a layer, mark a layer as fake, or change the layer's active range. Layer names are purely for organizational purposes and have a limit of 32 characters. Layers that are not enabled do not show up during playback. This can be used to help with organization and development, allowing you to store multiple versions of a chart and toggle between them. You can also toggle a layer's enabled status with the eye icon in the lower right. Layers marked as fake are drawn as normal, but the notes are not hittable and they do not count towards score, life, or difficulty. Active range can be used to implement warp-like effects. Layers can be deactivated for specific ranges of beats, after which they will no longer display or be hittable. Layer active ranges can be modified through the layer properties windows using the add or remove buttons to enter ranges to add or remove from the layer's active range. You can also select a range on the note field and either right click or go to the layer menu to add or remove that range from the layer's active range. It is possible to put notes in the same location in multiple layers, and this can cause what we refer to as conflicts. There are several different types of conflicts that can occur. If there are notes in the same place in two layers, but the two layers are never active at the same time, there is no conflict. This can happen either because one of the layers is disabled or because their active ranges never overlap. If there are two notes in the same place in different layers, and both layers are ever active at the same time, and at most one of the notes is hittable, we refer to this as a drawing conflict. The notes will be highlighted in orange, and there will be an orange indication on the scroll bar of where those notes occur. If notes are in the same place in two different layers and both notes would otherwise be hittable, we call this a composite conflict. Composite conflicts are indicated by highlighting the notes in red, and there will be a red indication on the scroll bar of where such notes occur. Only one of the notes will be hittable during gameplay, but both notes will draw.